Welcome everybody to the weekly Probate Mastery Group coaching call. I'm coming to you from one of my probate houses that I picked up in 2011 in Roanoke. We were talking just before we got started. I just passed my 1-year anniversary of living in the fifth wheel. You guys are used to seeing me in that environment. Anyone who's new to the community, anyways. I'll start this week with something that came up on last week's call. We talked about how to quickly come up with revenue if you're struggling to get any strategy started. But I shared with you, I promised you an outline of a way to build a real cash buyers list really quickly so you can get revenue inside of 30 days. We actually overachieved a little bit. We turned that into a nice handout, and Kat even made a post. So Kat, if you could drop a link just for anyone who might not have seen that. It's something that just come out of last week's conversation that I think is valuable to whether you're an investor or in brokerage. It's a handful of unconventional ways that I was able to connect with really qualified, capitalized buyers. So if you didn't get that downloaded, and Allison, you are first up today.
Thank you so much. Okay, I'm new. And so I have like a business question. So you have a team of, say, movers and estate people who come in and sell, just everybody that's going to help you with the family, right? When you're working with these people, are you getting a percentage of the money they're making from the family? Like, how do you, or do you just connect them to the family and organize the process of everything?
Great. Good question. Have you made it through session 2 of the course? That session has a lot. Like we look at, crafting your offer, building your team, building a referral network. It's a lot jammed into one. So I would encourage you to go back to that where we talk about it and I show you the mind map and we go through building the team. Something else, Kat, if you want to drop the link to we've updated, there's a handout that kind of helps you with ideas of how to find these people. What you ask is a common question. A lot of people think, I got to find a way to make this worth their while. The reality is the team that we're building, they're small business owners too, right? So all we have to do is provide value to them. That doesn't necessarily mean we have to provide cash value to them, just qualified referrals that they can monetize. I don't recommend chasing commissions. If you make it a commissionable referral, then who follows up on that? Who holds them accountable? Who does the accounting? How does it come through your books? I wanted to have the presence of having a vertically integrated solution. So I put all these people on my team. The agreement was if you clear our bar, we'll make sure you get qualified referrals. And that's enough to keep them around. And I didn't feel like I needed a commission from them. As long as they were doing the job that I needed them to do on the team, that was all the payment I needed because I'll get paid through my dollar productive activity. I've made a few exceptions where I've never taken commissions from any of my vendors. I've made some exceptions where I would actually advance money to a vendor to do a service. I don't usually recommend that either because it's not necessary if you have the right partners. But I didn't really want little bits of revenue coming through my books that I had to chase and source and look up. To me, it was just, hey, I'll bring you qualified referrals. You bring me qualified referrals and just do the best job possible. And
Okay, that's what I thought, and that's what I was getting, and I really liked it because I worked for closers for a little while. I wanted to build a relationship business in this and in elder home buying, and I had a partner. I talked about having this lady with a partner, but she wanted to nickel and dime everybody. And I tried to tell her that's not how this part works and we can't do that. And so I just wanted to go back and check with you before I keep moving forward.
yeah, I mean, it's just more of a symbiotic professional relationship.
Mm.
If you give them qualified referrals, then eventually they're going to give it back to you and you'll monetize it by having them do a good job at what their role in this deal, but
Right.
also by getting the next deal from,
I just was double checking. Thank you so much for your time.
yeah, thanks for being here. All right. Who else?
I have a quick share. I do a lot of my B2B through a private network I'm in, and I picked up a guy who works with celebrity clients mostly, and he provides estate planning, life insurance, business insurance, disability insurance. And he reached out to me. We had a great conversation, and he started the conversation with, let's see how we can mutually benefit from our relationships. So he was saying, I'm going to bring you business. And I talked to him about how I can help them do private investing through SBC and leveraging my network around the country and with their assets. And he said he's recently written 400 million in one life insurance policy for celebrities. And he has quite a few celebrities who do want to remain private, especially in the sports space. So it's a great connection, and I'm looking forward to realizing some new clients from that resource.
That sounds pretty amazing. Yeah. Gosh, I'm trying to think all the other ways. I mean, like, what will you present to them first? Like, what's the first opportunity you could bring his client base?
So I actually, well, to his client base, I actually presented to him that if they wanted to, because I do residential commercial because I'm an investor, that if they wanted to, they could leverage my network of investors. Like I get industrial seller leaseback deals, I get hotel conversions with the 42% IRR. I get these amazing deals because of the people I know who are pretty high level commercial and multifamily and other types of investing. And oftentimes you have people, certainly here in LA, who want to be private. And so I told them, I said, listen, if you have any entertainers or celebrities who want to do investing but want to remain private, there's a way I can structure the deal to do that for them. And for me, it's really just a small acquisition management fee, but it's a way for them to park their money. And he even said that's something they also do is they'll help them set up LLCs so that they can park their money in places. And he needs people like me to say, hey, Nina, what do you have where people can park their money?
Perfect. So that's where my mind was going to. Here's some ideas that are actionable. First thing I would do is reconnect with him and say, hey, I've had some time to think about this. I really want to co-run a private group that's extremely discreet, not searchable. It's not a closed group, it's a private group. But put yourself out there, have him introduce you as someone who can discreetly bring real estate opportunities to them, and have him co-host with you so you can borrow his social proof and his relationship with them. And then prepare a topic that would appeal to high net worth individuals, such as hands-off real estate investing. A lot of folks that are in that income bracket, they think they want to invest in real estate, but they think it's done like it is on HGTV. And they probably own shares of REITs that have 3 or 4 layers of fees in them. Like they don't know what a 42% IRR even means.
Mhm.
So you could create a community, an education-based community where you actually pick a topic once a month, host a call, bring other advisors to the table, including the one who will be already co-hosting with you, but find a registered investment advisor. Does he do captive insurance?
I'm not sure. I'm sure I wouldn't doubt it. We talked about infinite bank overfunding with universal whole life. We talked about various types of policy disability, of course, the benefit of having that for a business. I don't know if he does that or though. Don't I'm not.
So create a community where they can learn something at least once a month, and it's the same time on a Zoom call each month. You promote it in the Facebook group, have him add his clients, make him an admin on the group so he doesn't feel like you're taking the list. But you be the voice of real estate, especially in unconventional real estate, and really drive home that I will bring you passive real estate opportunities, meaning that you can earn double-digit returns, but you never deal with a tenant or a toilet. And I think you could actually get some traction and build a community. It's probably not going to monetize in the first 30 days, but
Mm-mm.
I figure you need money next year, right?
Right. Yeah. And actually, as you're saying this, I'm thinking about, I think I have at least 2 or 3 deals from both multifamily investors, developers, and one of my top investors who's now moved from multifamily to doing basically industrial seller leasebacks, where they buy up the property from an existing company that's been in the business many years. They're unloading the real estate at their manufacturing warehouse because it's cheaper for them from a tax position to sell it and then lease it back. And they're doing triple net on these and making a great return. And I see these on my desk. I have 3 right now that I can easily repurpose their presentation to explain to those people on that group, hey, here's a way we could set up a special purpose entity for you to participate privately in this and realize these wonderful returns. So this is amazing. Yeah, thank you.
But where this could evolve into is, and I want you to look up the technical definition according to the SEC of an investment club. It's a financial term, but I actually started my first investment club back in September. If you guys remember when I was doing these calls from a riverbank in Washington, I ended up forming an investment club while we were out there. And like for all of last week and this week, every night from 7 to 9, I'm actually doing exactly what I'm proposing you do. I created the platform and the forum, and then I bring in the experts and the people that I invest with or I've used as advisors that these guys would never have access to. And they eat it up. I mean, they get a ton of value from it because they, like, even though they're accredited, they're multimillionaire young guys. They don't know what index universal life or captive insurance or
Yep.
Delaware statutory trust or
Right.
opportunity zones or solar ITCs. Like,
Yeah.
so it's an educational forum for people that I hold. These are dear friends of mine, people that I
Mhm.
trust. It's not a public group, but I can help you with that. I've got an operating agreement that I hammered out with a high level corporate and SEC attorney, but it could actually evolve into that where you could be the manager of an investment club and you take a fee for service or you take an equity position in the deals as well as the gentleman who introduced you. But yeah, providing that kind of unconventional access to unconventional information is extremely valuable to high net worth individuals. If they're not so strong self-educators, they probably don't know about the things that we're talking about. So
Yeah.
that makes them a very sticky audience. If they show up the first time and you tell a success story about how this person invested in, it's not, I mean, a typical deal in this space is probably a 3 times multiple, and
Mhm.
high double digit IRRs are very common. But
Mhm.
understanding how to filter out the garbage, like probably, in my opinion, I've been investing this way for about a decade, almost a decade. And I would say 1 in 100, like if 1 in 100 sponsored deals is a good deal, that's probably generous. It's maybe like 1 in 500 are actually what I would put my reputation on to present to my club. So after underwriting thousands of these, I've got 8 different sponsors pitching to my group. But that's something I could see that you could do right now that would monetize probably in a big way later, but it will give you something
Mhm.
actionable where this doesn't fall through the cracks.
Right. And even if the monetization of it later in terms of those larger numbers, because you're right, it's like not every deal is truly a good deal when you're looking at it from an exit strategy standpoint. What's really the return? Why would you hold your money for that long when you could probably do something else within a year and get the same return? So it's true. The returns on it, you have to really find the really strong deals to make it worthwhile. But with that, those relationships and teaching them, like you said, educating them so that they're aware of what these opportunities are, that builds the trust and the credibility and the trust with me to where they're going to have something else that they want to do. And they're going to raise their hand, hey, Nina, I need to sell this real estate. Or so there's always opportunity before that realization of this group. Yeah.
Yeah, well, think about it. I mean, if they're sitting in a real estate investment they made because they thought it was a good decision, and then you show them something better, and all of a sudden they want to liquidate that asset to participate in that shiny object that you introduced them to, who's likely to
Mhm.
broker that deal? You're likely to be brokering celebrity real estate to create liquidity events so they can actually invest in the passive investments you brought to the table. And
Exactly.
you get paid on both, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Thank you, Chad. I really appreciate it. If I do need to reach out to you for any kind of guidance on how to build that out, I will, but maybe just via email or something.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm
Thank
happy to. I'll help you structure it if it goes there. But I would start with something simple like a Facebook community, and you may even like Signal groups or WhatsApp groups, chat that's ongoing. That's a good way to keep in front of them. Like I just use a text group because it's all friends and family in my club. But like I try to put something in front of them once a week to consider, something to look at, something to think about or be excited about. And it just keeps the group engaged. So you might pair a Facebook community with a Signal communication group and then just do at least a monthly call. So there's something that you can at least archive, record, and distribute to them. And over time, like once you get the first one to make a move and you can interview them and say, here's where Frank started and here's the first deal that Frank did through this community. You start to collect those stories, and other people, activity attracts activity. So they're going to want to be
you.
part of it.
Wonderful. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
So, Chad, do you get much pushback from about the Facebook group, like the social media connect? I mean, is the ones that are private for me? I feel like they're private, but are they? I mean, are they the celebrities going to have a problem with that?
Once they're in the group, discretion goes out the window. But I don't know a way that you could have a community with complete anonymity. You can set the settings where nobody can see who's in the group and the group isn't searchable. There's other platforms. Discord is one. There's other platforms where you can have a more private conversation that's absolutely discreet, not searchable. That might be a better idea since you're not trying to publicly build the group. You'll have people who are personally invited. As far as meeting the celebrity, go to golf tournaments. I don't know. Like hang out with Nina.
Yeah, well, it's funny because I know people in the entertainment industry who are like one of my best friends. She was PR for BET, and another client of mine. She's a producer for TV shows in Atlanta and here. So I just happen to know people in the industry. So that's part of how and I was an actor in my previous life.
If anything, my kids played football, and it's not unusual to have the pro players come in and coach. But I'm just noticing that we're all getting a little older like that, and they're not retired. But anyway, it's perfect. Thank you.
A good avenue to connect with celebrities is to connect with the businesses that service celebrities. So if you go onto LinkedIn, and I know LinkedIn's not the greatest thing, but if you just start relationships there, that can start to expand. You can find people who do celebrity events, like event planners for celebrities, people who do provide personal assistant services to celebrities. That's huge. Those are the gatekeepers. The gatekeepers for celebrities are always the ones that celebrities say, find me this. They're the ones who need all those resources. So that's a good place to start.
That's really smart. Thank you.
Kris Wickwire, you're here now.
I see. Okay. Thanks. And by the way, it looks like I'm moving to Idaho.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
it was a decision that my husband and I made. We're going to sell our home and he's going to live with my father-in-law for a little while, and I'm just going to make the jump. So I'm excited.
Congratulations. That's where I wanted to coach you to last week. I'm sure you could tell.
Yeah, I did.
If you're going to be there long term, there's no better day than today to get started. So let's talk about that. Then you already have a friend there you mentioned last week you have a friend in brokerage. So she's got your back. She can help you get up to speed on market knowledge.
Yeah.
Now, as you move there, what type of neighborhood, what type of market are you moving into? Is it rural, urban, suburban?
It's a little bit of both. I mean, Bonner's Ferry, I don't know if you're familiar with the area. It's very close to the Canadian border. So it's in the panhandle up there. Bonner's Ferry is very small, but Sandpoint, which is off just next to Coeur d'Alene, not Coeur d'Alene, Ponderay, is a little denser, and it's actually growing somewhat. And then you have Schweitzer Mountain, which got some luxury and some short-term rental opportunities there all over the map.
Yeah. And Sandpoint is a major fly fishing destination. You could make a really good living just brokering those luxury riverfront is huge there. So I think that's a really good niche. Obviously probate's going to come into play there too. It's a vacation as well. So you'll have ancillary probate there as well, where a California resident keeps an Idaho home and then they pass away. The primary might be in Los Angeles County, but the ancillary probate would be in Boise County or whatever county that is. I can't remember.
It's Bonner County, and then Coeur d'Alene has, according to all the leads, Coeur d'Alene has the kind of the lion's share of any of the probate leads, but there's only 2 in Boundary where I'm headed. So it probably would be just worth it for me to go to the courthouse instead of paying for them.
That's where your referral network comes in. I'll tell you, I mean, if you're going to stretch down the Coeur d'Alene, actually it was Boise. So one of the very first subscribers we had in all the leads, I coached her, Tammy. She came to one of our masterminds and was so excited to share. She got 5 listings in a week.
Wow.
And as we talked to her, Jim was like, that's amazing, Tammy. Have you ever gotten 5 listings in a week? And she's like, I've never had a listing. I've only had my license for 17 days. And she literally, all she did was I spent 15 minutes with her when she signed up. And I walked her through the basics of get clear on your offer, get a USP, get letters in the mail, and follow up with phone calls. And she took 5 listings. At that point, their median price was in the probably mid 4s. Now it's probably in the mid 7s. She came back the next Thursday and she had 2 more. She did 7 deals off of 1 list in 7 days. And I think her GCI was around $450,000 in revenue.
That's awesome.
You can probate, you can crack into that. And I don't know of anyone that's really setting it on fire there. She grew her family and stepped out of real estate and focused on her family. So that market might be open. That was in Boise, but in those types of markets, you can really traction really fast. But if there's only 2 leads, there's no way that's going to make sense to pay for a reason. I would focus on building your referral network.
Yeah. And just lots to learn about the area. So
cool. So when's your target date? When are you moving?
Looks like the end of April. We're putting the house on the market in mid-March because then the market's heating up there. So I don't want to miss the hunting season.
For sure.
Yeah.
Well, that's awesome. I'm glad you got some clarity around that.
I did. I appreciate it very much. Thank you.
Yeah. Congrats on having the courage to do that. Most people would keep saying one day we're going to.
I'm scared to death. Don't get me wrong.
That's
It
all
just
right.
seemed like the right time. We're headed that way anyway.
Fear can be the best motivator. All right. No hands up. I will tell you guys, we circulated a piece of content on Friday. I did an interview with Probate Cash, and one of the tactics that I talk about in session 2 is how you can actually turn your vendors into lenders. So if you need to create mezzanine financing to get a house rehabbed, you can have contractors carry that invoice through all the way to the closing table. There is an easy button too. That's more of an advanced tactic that takes a pretty good relationship with your vendors to get them to carry invoices for 90 days. An easier way to do that is to just get the family a cash advance that will get liquidity in the estate so you can make the repairs or move the surviving family members. So if you didn't get that, Kat also just dropped that in the comments. And this week we have a few other, tomorrow I'm doing a podcast with a gentleman that owns an ISA, a call center that does ISA services. So if you're not making your own calls, then you're going to suffer the wrath of David Pinnell. But if you're still not making your call, maybe we can delegate that. And so I'm trying to put qualified call centers in front of you guys if it's just not getting done and it needs to be done. So that's coming up next, and we have a few others, but we're going to try to put more of these people that could be more national team members, like that might fit into your team. Josh, I saw your hand come up.
Yeah. Hey, Chad, quick question. In that conversation you have with the ISA call center, could that be something we could explore to where, as a broker, I just have some agents that are terrified by picking up the phone, no matter how much you want to beat it into them, but they would be willing to pay or buy a block of time, or so to speak, that they would pay to have that done for them. As much as we've had call nights, we've had training, coaching, all the above, and I still have some that are just scared to death to just call, and that we're leaving money on the table.
And they're afraid to call their own database, or are you talking?
I think just even, hey, a lead comes in, they'll call once up, didn't answer, and just afraid to death to call back. Well, hell, they're the ones that filled out the form.
Yeah.
So I don't give up that easy. So
it's essentially what these guys do. So this particular company, they set a bar at 3 million in production because they know, like, they want to work with people who can handle the appointments and not tarnish their reputation. So they're making high volumes of calls with qualified ISAs. So what may work is for you to do that at the brokerage level. And you say, listen, we'll set appointments for you, but our brokerage split is this on a company set appointment versus agent generated.
I'm open to that. So the biggest thing I face here is being in the South, especially in Louisiana. The last names are very unique here. You got Tibbet, Broussard, Swallows, and stuff like that. I need somebody that can adapt to this area. But yeah, I would definitely be open to that. That would be awesome.
Okay. We'll see that conversation's tomorrow. You'll probably see it by the end of the week or so, and we'll connect you with Andy and his company. But anyways, we'll try to keep that. I've brought up 2 or 3 things that we've done over the last couple of weeks. We're all very busy and we work hard to try to get the right people into the community. So just wanted to remind you those are there and more are coming. Gio, I see your hand. How can we help you today?
Hey, Chad, question. I'm working with a current prospect, and the scenario is he is the PR's husband, and the wife does not want to deal with being a PR, so he's taking the reins on that. And my question is, he's having challenges with his attorney in terms of getting response, getting information. And I believe John, and a couple of sessions ago, mentioned that if the potential client wants to change their attorney, they can. And so wanted to get some feedback on and advice on how to handle that. Again, if the wife is an OR nurse, so she doesn't want to have anything to do with it, but she was assigned to be the PR. He's frustrated. He's trying to get information so he can then convey to the wife, and they can then convey to the heirs. There's 5 total. So it's a little bit disconnected in terms of the communication. And he seems to be a pretty reasonable guy, not someone that's creating drama with the attorneys. Again, looking for some advice on how to handle that.
And they're in California?
They're in California.
So I am nowhere near as qualified to answer this as John Fraker. I know the answer. He has to play this role often. Like we've had like picking up the other guy's mess.
What was the tipping point, if I can add, is reverse mortgage. There is equity, and there was a notice of default that was filed. He found out about it, asked questions of the attorney, and the attorney basically was not very, we'll say, communicative. And I got the acknowledgement from this gentleman that a lot more than the attorney. And so I didn't want to incite, hey, you should fire him. But at the same time, I just don't want to go through it without understanding what angle to take in positioning. Hey, maybe you should change attorneys, and we can get you over to John Fraker and he can represent you.
Let's just start there.
So refresh my memory. Who's the actual client at the law firm here? Is it the spouse?
The client is, yeah, I'm dealing directly with the husband. The wife is actually the PR.
Okay. Has the PR actually given the questions to her attorney and they're not getting an answer? Or is the one thing that I get all the time, and it's a little bit different when it's husband and wife, but I explain this to all my new clients for probate trust administration. The attorney represents the executor, right? Everyone else is a non-client. So me and the state bar puts on me, and this is every attorney, a duty of confidentiality and so forth. So if he's not responding because the wrong person's asking him a question, that's one thing. But if his client is emailing him, communicating, and she's not getting her questions answered or ignored, then you got to make it clear that if they don't respond in a timely manner, they're going to make a change.
Got it. And it's been mostly through email. And I'm assuming that it's through his email, but he understands and he's been the only one communicating with him. And I would assume if there was an issue with that, the attorney would have stated such.
They should have. They
Yeah.
should absolutely have done that, but it doesn't sound like they're very good at communication. So
Yeah.
if that's the hang up, that's one thing. If it's anything else than that, as I mentioned last time, if there's a burning fire, a reverse mortgage, a foreclosure, time is not on your side or the client's side. And if something happens to this estate's asset and it's because the attorney dragged their feet, that attorney's going to get nicked for malpractice or a complaint at the state bar. So they need to step up. They need to do the right thing by the time. I mean, job one, find out when your final date is on the foreclosure, right? Don't let the reverse mortgage company steal this house. Say, all right, we have a date in 1 month. We have a date in 2 months. Where are we in the process? We don't want to lose this house. I think they need to step up, ratchet up the communication with the attorney. They're the client. The duty is owed to them by the law firm to communicate clearly and in a timely manner. And if they make it crystal clear, we're unhappy with your level of communication, et cetera, even without firing him, any attorney whose brain is working gets that email from a client that they're not communicating, they can get nicked by the state bar easily for that. That's like the number one complaint against attorneys to state bars. They're not getting, the questions answered in a timely manner, unless the guy's just brain dead or has an alcohol problem or something that's prohibiting him from doing his job. If he's busy, people get busy. You still have a duty to communicate. There's no busyness exemption.
Absolutely. But in terms of if he's in the mindset of firing him, what would be the process of doing it? Just a simple, hey, we don't want to represent you. We're hiring another attorney.
Yeah. I mean, if it's in probate, there's actual forms to be filled out, substitution of counsel. You have to have the new attorney, law firm on the hook, ready to get all that stuff. In probate, the fee is always paid at the end of the transaction, right? At the end of the probate process. So if the original attorney has done X amount of work, they're entitled to their fee for that piece, not all of the statutory fee, but for part of it, just for the work done. And that's decided by the court. So they'll get paid, right? It sounds like either that person is overwhelmed and would be happy to let go of this client because he doesn't know what to do, or he's too busy or whatever. I've had some people where, the attorney who got relieved is actually, no pun intended, relieved to be out of it, right? They get paid a third of the fee for just taking it off their plate, right? So that does happen. But my recommendation is that there's always steps to do right before then. Line it up first, have another law firm ready to go. More importantly, communicate to the attorney. These are our concerns. Here's where we're at on the foreclosure. I'm not getting any options from you. I'm not getting any callbacks. I've set communications on these dates, no response. If I don't get my response in 48 hours or whatever, I'm switching firm. Right? That's an ultimatum that every client has the right to do that. If they're going to lose money because this house gets stolen effectively by the reverse mortgage company, and that's a law firm's problem, that's a huge deal. If it's just, that's 3 months from now, that's a year from now, or it's really remote and they're not getting their communications answered, that's one thing, right? You still have a duty to communicate with the clients. But if there's a burning fire and it's not being put out by the person in charge of putting it out, the attorney, that dude's got to go, right? Make it clear, put it in writing. We communicated with you. We've heard nothing on this subject. We have a very, what's the word? It's a burning fire, right? We have a time frame. It's being ignored, right? The closer gets to the deadline, the fewer options you have. So I had a probate where it took me 3-4 months to get the person hired as the executor because they were not the person with it. They were not the closest biological relation to the person. They were up there, but they were not. So we had to go through all the dance, had to get the hearing to open it. That's months out. The courts are backlogged, right? Reverse mortgage companies like, oh, don't worry about it. Lying the whole time. And they filed to do the same thing. But we also got that house sold in 30 days. Actually, it was less. We got people over there, did a bunch of work on it. lined up the investors, got that house done. And so they filed that. They had 90 days where they couldn't do a thing with it. On the 90th day, they could file to take the house and sell it. In 30 days, it was gone, right? So they get their money. They're out of the picture. They couldn't stop us from doing that. We got top dollar for that property. But the closer you get to that deadline, right? Not all markets are created equal, right? This is Silicon Valley real estate on a property that was 800 square foot house on an 8,000 square foot lot. And Gavin Newsom just signed the law, I think it was last year, allowing that to be turned into 2 parcels, right? So that's a huge deal for people to look at that. I mean, there's multifamily across the street. So when people can look at that property, and so we got a really top cash offer. But if your property is not in that market, if it's not in that type of situation, the further it goes to the foreclosure, the more rights you're losing. So there's really no excuse for this delay on the attorney's part. You just got to be clear on it.
Part of your responsibility, like to do your best job, go pull the notice of default and see if there's see if it's just a notice of default or if there's actually a scheduled sale date. But like before you call your client back, you can go do that research and say, listen, this guy is acting as your fiduciary or should be acting as your fiduciary. Did you know this? And coach them through that ultimatum. The other thing is I hope you have an attorney and trust that you can sub in. Like, do you know who you would point them to?
I do. Yeah, I have a couple.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, this is a great referral. I mean, it'll just reinforce that relationship, but give them 24 hours and then make the switch.
Great. Thank you, Chad.
Yep. Is the property listed? They have the letters already?
It is. Yeah, they just got the letters and the property isn't listed. I just had the conversation last night and was looking forward to the call to get advisement on how to go. So after the call, I'll be doing my NOD research. He was supposed to send me a copy of it, but I haven't received it yet. So I'll pull it and see what it says.
Yeah. It sounds like you have a short fuse, but long enough that you can get it done in this market.
Absolutely. In San Diego, it's not going to be a problem.
Right.
Thank you, Chip.
Cool. Thanks, Gio. Thank you, John. Nina, I see your hand. Lynette, I guess, is first.
So I have a quick question about what we were just talking about. Then I have another question. When a reverse mortgage goes into foreclosure, it is an FHA note, as I understand it. Is there a guideline to the mortgage company about the fees they can charge once it goes into foreclosure? Because to me, it's just an equity eater. And I mean, it also seems a little carte blanche if there isn't some sort of structure around that. And it also occurs to me like they can charge whatever they want and get it.
So they're not always FHA loans. They can be, but so if you want to research it, look up HECM loans or reverse mortgages. It's going to depend on like who the originator was, like what their internal policies are. I don't know that there's any law on penalties they can charge. I mean, the law is going to say most of them will, a ticking clock starts the second that the mortgagor vacates the property as a principal residence, whether it's for illness or death. Like if they don't live there, that clock can start as soon as the lender knows that they don't live there any longer. So it's usually 180 days before they can move to recover. It's not usually chock full of fees because they're just getting the equity out of the property. But you can research those by looking up HECM loans, HECM mortgages, and more specifically in your state and look at.
Okay. So then my question was with my buyer clients, I'm in the Denver market and I don't know what's happening. It's a bit fierce for buyers. I almost can't stomach it from the agency side, like what I'm having to do to just get the opportunity for them to be under contract. And we have the conversation before we go shopping. But what I'm finding is there are many properties where the elderly homeowner is being transitioned to either assisted living or memory care. And is there a way to get visibility on who and where this demographic is? And if there's a way to reach out to the family members or something like that, ultimately it's like, okay, get to them before they die, maybe, so they have the access to the taking care of their family member. How's that? I thought of assisted living facilities and things like that, maybe the attorney pool, but that's assuming they've reached out to someone that would put it into trust.
So there's 2 approaches here. One is your referral network. So as we talked about toward the end of session 2, it's important that you build relationships with probate and estate planning attorneys. But it can be equally or even more important for inbound business for you and your attorney to have connections with social workers, care managers, program coordinators, marketing directors at nursing homes, anyone who would be having the conversation with that family before they said, oh shit, we have to sell mom's house. So who did they speak with before that? Registered investment advisors, people, their CPA, anyone who would be dealing with that family before the decision to sell was made. So think about that's how you can get upstream. A social worker oftentimes will be the one that will explain to them why they can't just go into long-term care and have Medicaid pay for it because they have assets. So find out who that person is, go show up with a cup with coffee or something, build a relationship there, go to the nursing homes that, where you would want to be, like the nicer facilities, go to those and actually introduce yourself. The people whose job it is to get heads in beds, that's a base with commission job. So they have every incentive to liquidate assets as quickly as possible, because the quicker they can liquidate real estate assets, the quicker they can burn that cash is on their P&L. And when that cash runs out, then it comes from the government, right? So they have a big incentive. They have an even bigger incentive than you do to make the connection. So the idea there is, just as we talked about in the course, is make sure that they understand your offer as well as the prospects. The nursing home employee needs to know that with one phone call, you can get properties cleaned out, personal property that is not being sold or thrown away, put into climate controlled storage by a senior moving company. The senior moving company can bring the whatever property that they're going to bring into the facility. Like, you can coordinate all of that. You have a team, so it's not their job to coordinate it, and the family's not procrastinating and they're struggling through the logistics of that. With one phone call, you can literally have them moved in days and have the home sold in weeks, or you can have them moved in weeks. So as you connect with these people, just make sure they understand your USP, like who you are, what you can offer. And then the next time they think of who could help this family with the real estate needs, you'll be the only one that comes to mind. The other and the longer term strategy here would be building the community. So we've talked, and this is one of those things I've got to get into a course or at least a thorough handout, but building a Facebook community of the same people I just mentioned to actually provide value and attract that demographic to you. So if you have, let's say, one night per week on a Wednesday night, you have the Denver Life Transition team, and you host a call. And one week you have a social worker, one week you have a Medicaid representative, the next week you have an elder care attorney, the next week you have a senior moving company, the next week you have who knows what it is, anything that might bring value to these folks. Like, just create the platform, bring those vendors into it, make them group admins so they have ownership, they feel ownership in it, and then hold them accountable to presenting at least once a week to keep growing the audience of the group. Over time, like, it will organically grow into being a community resource, like where people can come and actually learn. Oh my God, when my mom was going through that, we found this Facebook group, and this Lynette lady, like, she had everyone you could imagine that came and spoke, and then she archived the calls. Like, we learned more there and you create a content archive, and you never know how you might be able to monetize that in the future. Like, but if you get the elder population, if you get them and their families to come to your group to learn and meet the other people out of your sphere, when they have real estate needs, you're going to be the only one in Denver as far as they're concerned.
That's awesome. Thanks.
Nina, you had something else?
Yeah, I just wanted to chime in on the whole foreclosure piece and the bad attorney.
Nina's like, fire his ass, get it listed.
Yeah, that would be nice. But here's the thing I wanted to point out. This is a little bit of a story in a current listing. I happened to be down there just last week on Friday for Molly Mates, who was cleaning it out after we did the trash out. I had to get into my car to get on a phone call with a new client of mine. And while on the phone call, a guy drives up and he parked in the driveway next to the house. He gets out, he goes up to my listing and he's taking pictures. And I'm thinking he's an investor. He wants to buy it. That's what they do. So I get out. I'm done with my call. I get out. Hey, can I help you? I'm one of the listing agents here. Oh, no, I'm an appraiser. I was just checking to see the house. I'm just doing a drive-by. Oh, you're doing an appraisal. Oh, okay. He said, yeah, apparently it's in foreclosure. So prior to this, I'm also a short sales foreclosure specialist from NAR. And so I already knew to check title. I pulled the foreclosure nod, and usually on the nod, it will show if they have a future sale date, which is by state statutes. You have 90 days on the nod. On the 90th day, they can record the notice of trustee sale. And it's 21 days from the recording date that it goes to the steps at Norwalk for auction. So it could go. But but the fact that the appraiser was there tells me they're ready to file that NTS, and we could calculate what that date would be based off of assuming when could they record it from the 90th day. So that told me, okay, we need to get this thing sold before that date, or at least at the very least, have an offer accepted and opened escrow so we can go to the trustee and say, hey, stop this, pause it for 2 weeks. If we can. Sometimes these companies who service these foreclosure sales will just put their foot down. But I wanted to point that out, that as much as you may have to fire the attorney because the attorney wasn't doing their job to get this moving faster and be in communication with the foreclosure company, at least try to get the sale done before the foreclosure even happens. So you want to get it done as soon as possible so that doesn't become an issue, because if that is really their only main asset, then everything is just for naught. And we've already been on this listing for a long time.
And if I can add what, I don't want to say delaying, but they're actually trying to figure out a way to finance it so they can take over the property. And they've come to the realization that it probably won't happen based on credit scores. So the opportunity is wide open for us to move forward with listing it and getting them out of the danger zone of that final date, if it is a final date.
If they don't have the credit scores, go to an investor who has done gap funding, or any investor who can do private lending, and try to give them a decent incentive on what they could get, like a flat fee. They can put a claim against the probate estate for their interest. They can put the lien on the property, but they can do it for like a 1 year interest only payments for 45, 60 days. And it'll probably cost them less to do that, especially if they can't get approved, than trying to get a loan and all of that. So in other words, it may cost them a little bit, but at least they keep the house. I would say that would be the first thing I would do, because if they're not going to keep the house that goes to foreclosure, they don't get anything.
Yeah.
So pay the extra money to a private lender, and they have the securitization, the private lender. So that would be the first thing I would do if you don't have enough time before this foreclosure date.
Yep. Dwayne, I literally have 1 minute. I'm sorry. I do have a hard stop at 4. So Dwayne, how can we help you?
Okay. First time on here as a result of just registering for the mastery course last week.
Thanks for being here.
Influenced in part by a couple other fellow realtors at EXP, Bill Gross being one of them. I'm licensed 20 years in the tri-state area of Maryland, Pennsylvania, and West Virginia. A reverse mortgage broker that I know, very nice guy and very knowledgeable. His name is Jason Eichmiller.
Dwayne, do you mind connecting us? Do you think he would be willing to do an Ask the Expert video so we can share him with the community?
Okay.
Yeah.
I found interesting that infinite banking, et cetera, that type of thing. And I think I've probably seen a couple of YouTube as well. I'm not licensed in insurance anymore, but I was at one time.
Yeah, that's the interesting thing about this community. We get well outside the lanes of probate. So we talk a lot about business strategy, advanced investing techniques. And I'm actually considering looking at what it looks like for us to maintain what we've done here, but actually have more of those conversations and give you guys access to more of that. So
I have a great guy on that if you want me to see if I can bring somebody in on that subject as well.
Sure. With Whole Life.
Whole Life, yeah. The Bank on Yourself, Infinite Banking, Nelson Nash, miscellaneous type of things.
Yeah. Listen, I hate to run on a fellow. Are you a West Virginia resident or Maryland?
I'm actually outside the town of Boonesboro in Maryland.
Okay.
Yeah, outside of Hagerstown. Mm-hmm.
Okay. I'm a West Virginia boy. I
thought you said that somewhere.
Not around Snowshoe.
Oh, okay. I'm north of Martinford.
Yeah. We hope to see you next week. Thanks for showing up to be part of the community.
No.
Have a great day, guys.